Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial. Happy New Year's to everyone that's tuning in. This is the first video of the new year, review video of the new year. Cobra Kai Season 3. Let's get into it. Before we get started, right off the bat, start the year off right for the best and great luck, for health and wealth on your journey throughout the 2021 and beyond. Subscribe to this channel and definitely like that video. Let's get into it. So Cobra Kai Season 3 overall was decent. I think I liked Season 2 better, but Season 3 was decent. Brought back some familiar faces from the other Karate Kids, and I think this is what they're going to start to do, is over all the Karate Kids, bring back different faces from the different Karate Kids and bring them into the Cobra Kai. So we now have the aftermath of what took place in the previous season and how it left off. The big explosive fight at the school, that was like one of the best fight scenes I've seen. Like a battle royale for teenagers getting it busy at the school, when they was no holds barred. And at the end of the fight, during the fight, you had Sam, who's Daniel son's, his daughter, she was cut in the course of the fight. And also you have Miguel, who was kicked off the second story by Robbie, which is Johnny's son. So that's where we left off, and now we taking part. So you had Tori, that's the one who cut Sam. She had like spiked like brass knuckles, and she cut Sam on her arm. So we're picking up in the aftermath. Miguel is in the hospital. Everybody's alarmed. He's been in a coma. So he's been in a coma for like the last 2 weeks. Johnny is spiraling out of control, drinking at the bar, picking fights with people, end up in jail. You have Daniel LaRusso, his situation, because he's mixed in with this whole karate thing with his dojo and his kids, and Robbie was the one that he trained involved in that. The people of the town is starting to stay away from LaRusso's dealership and not, get cars from him. So his business is starting to suffer. Robbie is on the run, living off the street. Don't nobody know where he is. But they later find that he stole one of LaRusso's cars that had a GPS on the car. And LaRusso and Johnny linked together so that they can go try to find him. And you get a cool scene with LaRusso and Johnny teaming up, where they had the stolen car, and some guy went back to a garage, and the people in the garage wanted to fight Johnny and LaRusso, and they got it in, and they it was a cool scene to see them fight. But they always bump into, so they end up crashing heads with each other. And so they went to go see Robbie's mom. She's in rehab, and she gave a whereabouts, how they could potentially find him. So they went into jail. They found some of his boys that he used to run with. They told him whereabouts where they might could find him. And so from there, you had Kreese at the end of last season. He pretty much said, "I'm the one that founded Cobra Kai. This is really my name. This should be my dojo." So Johnny in his feelings, he just left everything to Kreese. Meanwhile, Kreese now got these kids, Hawk and the rest of them, and now he, of course, them being left in his tutelage, you know, is bad for the kids' behavior and mentality. So they're all at school, back at school, and Sam, which is again LaRusso's daughter, she's having PTSD of what took place. So when she comes into school, the first day of school, she got a reality check and she can't really cope. So she hooky school, and she got to pull herself together because she keeps envisioning Miguel falling off getting kicked over the banister at school and falling, pretty much breaking his back in a sense, and her getting scraped by Tori. Now, Tori's situation, she was expelled from school, so she's gonna try to get her GED home. Her home life is already in a flux. Her mom is getting sick, and so yeah, her mom is sick, and so she gotta try to get the money to get her mom for being well. The rent is backed up. You got a slimeball landlord she's underage, and he's pushing up on her, basically saying that she could, do some things to get the rent paid. So that's a greaseball move. So Kreese sulks out to find her. She pretty much like, hey man, my home life, I can't be part of that. I'm working 2 jobs, and I got rent to pay. I don't have money, and my mom is sick. Then I got a landlord issue and whatever. And Kreese pretty much look back at him and see that he is greaseball. But Kreese went and approached him after the fact and pretty much beat him up and pretty much let him know, like, be lenient on her. And so from there, she came back into the fold. Now with this season, the whole season starts to tell the story of John Kreese and how he became who he is. So he was pretty much a busboy working in a restaurant back in 1965, and it was a town kid. He was like, I guess, a football player, star. He had a girl, and the girl that he was with pretty much, had eyes for John Kreese, and it kind of like the football star pretty much kind of picked on John Kreese. So when John Kreese went to take out the trash, he smacked the girl. He seen where he smacked the girl. So John Kreese stepped up for her, and of course they got in a fight. But he had his boy with him, so they tried to jump John Kreese. In the end, John Kreese beat them both up, and him and the girl, she was fond of him, and there was a brochure about the Army. And so we all know that John Kreese was a war vet. So he pretty much went into the Army and was in the Vietnam. And so he told her, I'll be back for you, and that was his motivation while he was in the military. So you got a chance to see his head sergeant guy that pretty much wanted to devise a special group and put John in the special group, him and his men, and pretty much they're going to do some special ops work. And he said, I'm going to train them. So he was training them, and he squared off with John Kreese, and John Kreese had dropped him, but John Kreese stopped. And when he stopped, the sergeant came and hit him and said, pretty much, you always got to finish. You got to make sure they down. Because when you out there in the real world, and you out there in real action, you can't hesitate, or your enemy will kill you. So that's where he get that finish him stuff from and everything. So now, right before they went on a mission, there was a letter that came through about his girl, and his girl, you don't know what happened. But all you know at the time that something happened. He said, well, he can't find we can't tell him this right now. His head won't be in the game. We gotta go on a mission. So through the whole season, random parts, you get the flashbacks to this. So what's basically happened? Robbie's mom at the rehab place went to go see her. She told Daniel, and Daniel went to go see him, but he told the cops. So of course the cops came there. They locked Robbie up. He went to jail, and so that pretty much at that time, he had vendetta for Daniel at that moment. So you had Johnny, who was trying to raise money for Miguel, and so Johnny didn't have nothing to get, so he went to his rich step-pop, and pretty much the rich step-pop blew him off. And so Johnny took one of his high-priced items and went and pawned it, got the money, and took the check to the hospital, said it's for Miguel towards his surgery and everything. And the mom and them, they was upset with Johnny at first, but they kind of like, you know, they embraced and thanked them or whatever. So Miguel came out of the coma, but they had to have surgery to help his back. And then he came out of that, and he still couldn't feel his limbs. So then throughout the course of the season, you see Johnny step in and really help him get back into form, inch by inch, from standing on his 2 feet to walking again to getting the ability to move in. So that was kind of Johnny's redemption move throughout this whole season. Also, their bond, of course, Johnny was bonding with Miguel's mom, and they were getting closer, and he got a response back from Allie, and we seen that at the end of season 2. So he's hitting Allie back, and he's trying to impress Allie, like he's into all the things that she's into, but in the end, he just got to be himself. So back with LaRusso's business, he got the inside track that another company got his big contract. And so they was going to pretty much put LaRusso out of business. So the other guy came in and said, basically, we'll buy your business. And he stayed firm, was like, no, we're going to get through it. So he said, I need to just go and try to make a power move on my own and try to win back our big contract. So he went to Japan and presented. They pretty much declined him. And in the process of that, he went to Mr. Miyagi's old town that you've seen in Karate Kid 2. And at the time, the town was like a village and everything like that. Now it's this big shopping district, mall type. And so he was walking through, he ran into one of the people that worked there, asked him what happened, and said, well, what happened to all the villagers? And then she pretty much said, well, they was happy because it brought money and they was able to feed their families and stuff. So he seen a demonstration, and when he went, when he pretty much looking at the demonstration, lo and behold, from season 2, it was Kumiko. And he seen her, she seen him, and she knew exactly who he was right off the bat. And they basically, exchanged, they sat down and went back and forth what they've been doing in their life and everything. And she pretty much said that, she really never found nobody. And you could tell she still had a vibe for Daniel. Of course, he moved on. He got his wife and 2 kids. And so, in the process of them meeting up at the restaurant, in comes Chosen. And if you don't know who Chosen is, in Karate Kid 2, he was the badass who Daniel's son fought in Karate Kid 2, and he spared Chosen's life. So Chosen came in, and the way it looked like they was going to be ready for war again. And so, of course, they wasn't. Kumiko pretty much called them in there so that they, whatever peace they needed to make or whatever. And Daniel Sir also told her what he was there for, what he was going through with his business, and pretty much she was like, if you pick good out in the world, it'll come back to you. So message nevertheless. So Daniel's son and Chosen was going back and forth, and he was Jameson was talking about, well, you know, the world looks different here, and then Chosen took him out to like the land area of the new district, and then Danielson, yeah, this is what I'm used to. This is what Mr. Miyagi told me all about his people and everything, and he was running it down. And so Chosen was like, he told you all that, and he was like, yeah. And so Chosen was like, I'm gonna show you something. So he had this little pamphlet thing, and basically it was from it was the sensei that taught Mr. Miyagi and the other guy who taught Chosen. They both had a sensei, and then he had this scroll thing or whatever. And Danielson was pretty much like, I should have it, and he was like, well, why you should have it? Because both our senseis had their own sensei that had made this or whatever. So nevertheless, they had a standoff, Chosen versus Danielson, and Chosen was breaking Danielson down, and he did these like pressure points, hits to Danielson that made his arms go numb and made his leg go numb, and he was basically defenseless. He couldn't do nothing. And then basically Chosen did the same thing like Danielson did to him, like where he had his hand up like he was going to strike him in the face, but then grabbed his nose or whatever. And so he pretty much basically showed Danielson those moves. So that was like Danielson's, like, you always, and back in the Karate Kids 1 and 2, you always seen Mr. Miyagi teach Danielson some new techniques. So this is his new technique that he gonna learn, and you get to see later in the season when he goes and uses it. So nevertheless, he said before he left out, he was set up to see Kumiko, and asked him, Chosen, was he coming? He was like, nah, I got a class to teach. So he shows back up to see Kumiko, and he's pretty much on his way out. And then he see this lady in a business suit. And the lady in the business suit, she's younger than Kumiko, but now they flash back to in Karate Kid 2, when there was a moment in Karate Kid 2, there was a little girl that was up on a pole when it was like a tsunami in the village, and Danielson bravery ran up and got her off of the pole. Now this is this little girl who's now the international represent these businesses, and so basically she's coming now to help Danielson with his business and get him this deal. And so he's thinking at this moment, like, I got this nice deal going back to the US with my family. When he get back, he now gets to see all the turmoil that's been going on with the Cobra Kai still picking on being bullies in school and everything. So one of the Cobra, what Kreese did, he went out and started getting new recruits. So he was basically getting people who were more athletic. They didn't know the fighting skills, but they was athletic. So he was getting like your top wrestlers, your type basketball players, and getting them in the fold. Now, one of the top wrestlers that he got in the beginning had bullied Hawk, and so Hawk knew that, and so pretty much Hawk was kind of a little bit intimidated, and one of Hawk's boys got to square off. One of Hawk's boys got to square off with one of the newcomers and got beat up. And they pretty much kicked him off of the squad. So Hawk didn't feel that. So in the course of Hawk and them bullying the guys, one of the guys that's part of the dojo, the Miyagi dojo, Hawk broke his arm. Like, Sam and them went and found Hawk and them. They were in an abandoned part of this like fun zone area, and they went in there basically like, we gonna get them, we gotta stand up and fight. And so they went in there to pick a fight, but what ended up happening is, while he was fighting, Tori showed up, and she badass, so she started fighting, beating people up, and then she was like, Sam, where are you? And then when Sam heard her voice, she started getting PTSD, and she froze. She didn't want to fight no more. She was just hiding. So it was a moment she could have came out and helped the kid, but she didn't. She let him pretty much get beat up, and then you had Hawk had his arm and snapped and broke his arm, and so she could have saved it, but she didn't because she was in shock. So with all the drama going on in the town decided to cancel the state karate tournament because really that's all they got for. That's what they known for, this big karate tournament. And so you have three different dojos. You have Johnny got his new karate dojo, Eagle, Fang Karate, Miyagi Dojo, and then you had Cobra Kai. And so them the three heads, they're coming to speak into this in front of the board to pretty much say, hey, keep this tournament going, don't cancel it or whatever. And pretty much you got Kreese, you got Johnny and LaRusso all speaking at this thing, but they all fighting amongst each other. And so the head city council person like, nah, this is exactly why we don't need it. So Miguel by this time is healed and he's back walking around, and he's pretty much coming up to speak up, pretty much like, I'm the one that got kicked over the balcony and messed my back up. We need this because if this caught, I don't know where I would be if we didn't have this. And Sam spoke up too. So they start getting their bond on, and then you have Robbie. He got out of he was in juvenile facility, and he eventually got out, and now he sees Sam with Miguel. So if Robbie feeling some type of way, so he links back up with Kreese. So you see a problem coming there. So that's pretty much the bulk of everything. LaRusso's back, got his business straight. Johnny is trying to link up with Allie. He's messing with Miguel's mom. Then it's this cool scene where Allie she comes back to town. Her and Johnny reconnect. They go and do miniature golf like they used to back in the day, and they really getting along. And then it's a moment they was about to kiss, and when they was about to kiss, she got a call to go somewhere, so that blocked the kiss or whatever. And then she invited him to a dinner where her parents was going to be at. And so ironically, it's the restaurant that was in the original Karate Kid 1 where Danny LaRusso was a busboy, and where he seen Allie and pretty much ran into the people, and all the spaghetti fell on him and stuff like that. That was in Karate Kid 1 or whatever. So it was that restaurant. So when Johnny walked up to meet Allie there, he seen her hugging LaRusso, and it kind of made him have flashbacks when he seen her hugging LaRusso back when they was on the beach in Karate Kid 1. So they had this cool scene. Now you got LaRusso at the dinner table with his wife and Johnny and Allie or whatever, and they all going back and forth telling all their stories. And of course they're looking at as LaRusso's wife, she's great and she's entertaining all this stuff. And Allie was like basically telling LaRusso don't lose her, and pretty much told LaRusso like, Daniel pretty much told her Allie he apologized for being a dickhead, and what I'm saying, like he always wanted the best for her, and she said it's nothing. He basically put her over the bridge. And so now you came to time with Johnny and Allie, and the fire was there, but in a sense it was kind of just like them reminisce on the past, because they did have a good thing at one point, but now they're in the present and the future, and they like, all right, well, we ain't gonna cross that bridge right now. So pretty much he messing with Miguel's mom, so you could tell that started to settle in. So it was a moment he could have kissed her again, but instead they just exchanged a hug and pretty much told each other they'll always have each other's back. And then that was the case. And when so by this time it does another flashback. You find out that when they went to go back when Kreese was young and in the military, when him and the sergeant and the special ops squad went to do this special mission, when they had a chance to, they had to set the bomb, and the guy that set the bomb was supposed to get out of there. He didn't, and so they told him to, John Kreese, to slam the button to blow up the bomb. He didn't do it because it would have killed this man, and so he, the sergeant was pretty much mad that he didn't do it, and pretty much the Vietnamese, they got him, and they became prisoners of war. And so what started to happen while they was at the prisoners of war, to have fun, the Vietnamese would have them duel each other to fight to the death, and then the loser would have to fight and end up in a pit full of cobras or whatever. So it came time for John Kreese and his sergeant to fight, and pretty much the sergeant was talking crap like, you already know I beat you, I taught you, so I'm gonna beat you, but it got to be one of us, and I got something to live for. And so Kreese was pretty much like, I got something to live for too. And he was like, oh, that girl you had, oh, she pretty much she wrapped her pretty little stuff around a pole, and she's no longer here. He like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, well, we found out that right before this mission, but I didn't tell you. So you could tell he was a greaseball when he did that. So Kreese is pissed. So they fighting to the death, and there was a moment where the sergeant got knocked over, but he was still holding on top of the bridge, and then the U.S. came in and blew up where they was being held up, and the Vietnamese ran off. So he was like, okay, the sergeant was like, okay, Kreese, come on, let me up. All right, we good now. And so Kreese didn't, and let him fall into the pit of cobras. So that's where John Kreese got that from, or whatever. And so you start to get a backstory on why he is the way he is. And so at this moment, back at the home, you have the Russos. They're off at the dinner. Sam is home, but she's having like a sleepover of guys and all this going on. And Cobra Kai, first off, Johnny's the Eagle Fang Karate wants to become allies with Miyagi Dojo Karate and join forces, because Cobra Kai, they kind of deep. So they're having a huddle over Sam's house, sleepover, and Cobra Kai shows up. Now, how they get in the house, who knows? But they show up, and it's scary be like it was at the end of season 2, a battle royale rumble. And then they fighting, getting it on, breaking up all the Russo stuff in the house, and they getting it in. It's not as good as the school battle royal, but they still getting it in. And then it's a moment when like I said, Hawk been feeling some type way, because even when Miguel got well, he approached Hawk like, yo man, you broke that kid's arm, like, you know what I mean, like, Kreese is in your head, he's using you. And so he looked at Miguel as his boy. So he pretty much was going against Miguel, but he always had that little, like, that's my boy though. So nevertheless, it was a moment when Miyagi Dojo and Eagle Fangs was getting their behind whooped by Cobra Kai, and then Hawk decided to flip sides, and that changed the edge of the fight. And then Hawk started kicking on Cobra Kai behind, and there was a moment where Miguel was getting beat up pretty bad, and then he, found his inner self and then turned the tides. Then Sam and Tori was fighting again, and of course Sam was having PTSD, still in shock and running from Tori, and they end up in the main meditating sanctuary of the dojo, and Tori went and grabbed some nunchucks. And then so at this moment, when Tori threw Sam against the wall and it cracked Mr. Miyagi's picture, that lit some fire in her. She went and grabbed the pole, and her and Tori start fighting, and they start getting on. And then they pretty much, Miguel and Hulk came in and hey, stopped the fight, and pretty much Tori was like, you know, telling Hulk, you better watch yourself, you traded. Now, what was cool with Tori's outfit, she had the skull hoodie that Johnny and his Cobra Kai had on in not season, Karate Kid 1, when they beat up, when they were chasing Daniel's son on the bike. They had them a skull Halloween costume. So she had a hoodie with the skull. So that was a throwback to that Karate Kid 1. So after that, it showed once they all found out what was happening, and they Johnny came home from the dinner. He went to go see Miguel's mom. She had the worried look on her face, and when he came in, he seen Miguel all beat up. He said, "What?" So now he's fuming. So he's going to see Kreese at the Cobra Kai Dojo, and so when he goes there, he sees Robbie there. He's training Robbie like a new technique. And so he's like, son, you shouldn't be here. Robbie, he's pissed at Johnny, like basically like, you know, get out of here. So of course Johnny and Kreese get it on. You know what I'm saying? So Kreese get it on. They fighting. And it's a moment where, you know, of course Johnny getting the best of him. He's fighting this old man. And he doesn't finish him. And so when he doesn't finish him, Robbie comes in and pretty much say like, you know, Robbie try to fight Johnny. So Johnny like, I'm not fighting you, my son. So he pretty much threw Robbie and he fell into the locker, hit his head on the locker, and he was knocked out. And so when Johnny went to see if he was all right, Kreese grabbed the sai and banged Johnny in the head. And then Kreese was about to strangle and kill Johnny. Then Daniel's son showed up because by now he knows what happened. Now he's showing up to get at Kreese. So now him and Kreese is fighting. So Daniel's son and Kreese is fighting. And so Kreese is getting busy though. This old man getting busy with these young boys. So Kreese get busy, and he pretty much he charged Daniel's son. They got out the glass window, and then Daniel's son, he used those techniques that Chosen showed him, and then Kreese was defenseless, and so Johnny looked at Daniel's son like basically finish him, like you do it, you know he deserved it, you know he causing havoc with these kids. And so Sam and Miguel came running, and Sam was like, Dad, that brought Daniel back to reality. And so they pretty much was like, yo, you done here, man. You know, we don't want to see you around here no more. And so Kreese was pretty much like, it's a free country. I can do what I want to do. You know, I can have my own dojo. And they was like, nah, not around here. And so he was like, well, let's handle this the old-fashioned way. Let's handle this in the tournament. If we win, y'all leave your dojos to win. If I win, I leave my dojo or whatever. And so it shows Robbie come, Miguel next to Johnny, Sam next to her dad, show Robbie next to Kreese, and pretty much Robbie like, all y'all need to leave, pretty much. Like, I'm with Kreese now. And so, you know, that's how it pretty much ended. That was the whole 10 episodes in a nutshell. Was decent overall. I like this season 2 better, but this one was still decent. But now, when back in a flashback, when the U.S. came and saved Kreese and them from being prisoners of war, when he let his guys out, the guy that he saved, that he didn't blow him up when he could have, the guy pretty much was like, hey man, pretty much was like, I owe you for life, you know, and I owe you for life, and so anything you need, come to me. Now, back in Karate Kid Part 3, there was a character by the name of Terry Silver. and he was supposed to be an old war vet of John Kreese, who pretty much, John Kreese was living on the street and, you know, doing bad, and he came and pretty much came through for John Kreese and basically said, we got to get you back in the game. And they pretty much, he befriended Daniel's son, but really he was using him to befriend him to diss Mr. Miyagi so that he can get back with John Kreese or whatever. So you wondering if that guy, if that's what they bring back in season 4. Terry Silvers, they bringing his character back because John Kreese at the end jumped on the phone. He looked at the picture of the 3 people that survived from the prisoner of war, and one of the guy that said, I owe you for life. It shows him calling him up at the end of the season 3, and pretty much like, hey, basically he needs something. So you don't know exactly if that's him or not, because I don't recall what that guy's name was, but Terry Silver was the guy's name in Karate Kid 3. So overall, decent episode. Tune in if you a fan of the whole Karate Kid series, and you know you've been liking Cobra Kai, that's now part of Netflix originals. Tune in to season 3. Just keep feeding the story, and if they bringing back all the players from the previous Karate Kids, that's what it seems like. So it seems like Terry Silver's character will be next, and Mike Barnes, he was the badass in Karate Kid 3 or whatever. So they might be bringing back Mike Barnes, bring back Terry Silver, and then it's gonna be interesting if they keep it going. And the next generation Karate Kid, where it wasn't no longer Daniel's son wasn't in it, was Mr. Miyagi, and this time he's with the girl played by Hilary Swank. So it'll be interesting to see if they're gonna bring that in the fold. So nevertheless, again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. Till next time.